Jacques comradia, I hawn hon na chweve. Valda, on KnitCaboodles, is Monsieur Omi. Good day, comrades. Blessed Samhain, or happy Halloween, however you wish to say it or celebrate. Welcome to KnitCaboodles. I am Omi. I'm non-binary. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them. And this, as I said, is KnitCaboodles. Welcome back to episode 2, where I'm going to show you a couple of the projects that I've been working on. Some of them I've finished, some of them I've started, some of them I'm still working on, some of them I still have to get to. A little bit later than I intended to record and upload, because one of the things that has happened since I was last with you was that I got kicked off my Wi-Fi at the same time, just as I was getting ready to record, at the same time that I started pressing some kidney stones again. I had like 4 this time. It was only 4, so that was nice. So the other things that I've been up to since we last sat down together is that I have been getting stronger in this recovery from my surgery, and made it all the way back up after a little bit of a dip from the kidney stones to in cardiac rehab to level 6 on the elliptical and 6-pound weights. And my physical therapist says that if I can continue making the kind of progress that I'm making, I may be able to get back to work next month, which is really soon. Actually, as of this recording, it's the day after tomorrow. Not getting back to work next month. Next month starts the day after tomorrow. Also, yesterday, I went over to Hartford to have one of my follow-up tests from the surgery, a TEE, which is a different type of echocardiogram that's taking video and pictures of the heart from the esophagus. So they kind of got to put you under and put the camera down your throat to take all of this and all of that. It was a great big trip. Thank you, RJ, for coming with me, so I was a safe person to go home with. They did see that, like they saw in the echo at the end of August, the regular Doppler echo, that there is some, the valve is leaking again. So there is the possibility that they'll have to bring me back in, depending on how bad the leak is, depending on how severe the leak is, to put me back in, open me right back up, and replace the whole valve instead of just the repair. It looks like it's entirely possible that this double round of strep throat that I got hit with in my beginning of my recovery period really affected my heart and affected the repair, and may need to have to go back in and replace it. Well, I'll find out, and it is what it is. Other than that, I actually haven't done a whole lot of knitting and crochet, not as much as I usually do, over the last month, 2 months, however long it's been. It's been almost 2 months. Last time I posted was like the 2nd of September or something like that. So we're really close to the 2-month mark, and I have done not nearly as much as I would have, and that's okay. I got sick. But I am going to show you what I have done, and we're going to start with a what am I wearing. So strap in, get your coffee or your water or your whatever you're drinking. Let's dive into it. So like I said, I'm going to start with what I'm wearing. Last time I saw you, I had shown you the first sock that I made and the sock that I was working on, and I finished the sock that I was working on. And I'm wearing it. I'm wearing them both, actually. This is the super fun thing for me. Whee! About these socks, yeah, I don't wear matching socks, so I just make one at a time and then just mishmash as I wish. These are so cozy. So I'm using PurlTogether's basic sock, vanilla sock pattern off of her tutorial session of how to knit a sock. And I used Needles at the Ready yarn in their Achilles sock base, which is a 75-25 fingering weight yarn in the colors Canyon Hues. Oh, feels like I am in a canyon every time I look at it. Like an impressionist oil painting of a canyon or something like that. You can see all the different colors. But I did a 68 stitch cast on. I used my 9-inch circular needles that I absolutely adore. And I did 5 rows of a half twisted rib, 1 by 1. I only twist the knit stitches. I did the purl stitches regular. I did 5 rows of that. And then I did 5 rows of the leg because I love an ankle sock. And then I went right down into this slip stitch heel flap and gusset. I kept the slip stitch going for the heel turn. And then went switched. I totally slitched. I switched over to just plain stockinette for the rest of it. I didn't continue it for the rest of the decreases. For the gusset decreases. And I did 8.25 inches on the foot. And then I used her rounded toe pattern for the toe, which I've discovered, as I mentioned last time, has, that's so smooth. Just doesn't squeeze my toes. It feels so good. It actually makes me willing to wear the socks, which is kind of huge when you're autistic and you despise socks because they squish you wrong. But also because I have that connective tissue order and they squish my bones out of place. They squish so wrong. And I went down to 14 stitches for the toe and did a Kitchener. That what am I wearing? I did the same exact thing. This is my second sock, and as I showed you last time, I did this is the exact same thing I did for the Malabrigo. Delightful. And super mismatchy. I love it. And I really, really enjoy working with this Needles at the Ready yarn. Excuse me. It's an absolute dream. The colors, watching the colors change. This sock, it's really, really variegated, this yarn. So like, there's almost no 2 stitches in a row that have the same kind of color, exact color combination. It's delicious. It's an absolute journey. So that's my sock, which actually is one of my FOs. So I have 7 FOs today. And so that was one of them. I have another. I did that Barley worsted that I love so much. And I made 4. I made 4 Barley worsted. 3 of them are for donations, to donate to, you know, my unhoused friends in New London, which is where I live, New London, Connecticut, as it starts to get cold. So we're getting a decent stack. I haven't gotten as many done by now as I had hoped to have gotten done, and that's okay. I'm just gonna keep plugging away at it, and get back into it. and I do believe I have 8 now, something like that. I did another yellow one. I love this barley worsted with that 2/3 of it being the stockinette and then that garter stitch panel. I did a 90 stitch cast on. I did 5 rows of that 1x1 half twisted rib. Again, I do love a half twisted rib. Where you're just twisting the knit stitches and purling the purl stitches as usual. And this is an adult medium. All the donation barleys I've done so far have all been the same size, adult medium. This is a little bit loose on me, turns out. I did this yellow one. That's just fun. So I'm using all my acrylics. Most of them have been donated. Some of them I've purchased for various projects, and I'm using up my scraps and all that stuff. But it is a lovely hard. It's honestly, it's a lovely yarn to use for something like this because it's going to last for a while. It's easily machine washable, and these colors are fun. Look at that. It's going to keep people warm. It's a good workhorse acrylic, especially if you don't have money, or very much, you know. And I do get a lot of this donated. People love donating acrylic to me. Because I love turning it into things that'll help people, especially. So there's another adult medium barley worsted by Tin Can Knits with my acrylic scraps. Mostly Red Heart, honestly. Mostly the Red Heart Super Saver. I've got a couple of other ones in here. There's a mainstays. This one is not the worsted acrylic. Red Heart. I know that for a fact. This was donated and I have no idea what it is. And I'm fairly certain that this one, it might be a Red Heart, but it might be a mainstay, something like that. But they're all the same. All the donation hats are the same. They're fun. And they're real quick to work up. I can do it in 3 sittings at this point. Those 3 are for donations, and as I said, I made 4. I already had one of these in the adult medium, and my oldest, Finn, who is 18 now, was over a few weeks ago and made off with, borrowed mine. But when I had made it as an adult medium, and it was loose on me, and they have a 23-inch noggin, and so it fit them perfectly. And I had enough of this yarn, which it's delicious. It's scrumptious to work with. It's super springy actually, and very soft as it goes through your fingers. There's a lot of elasticity in it as well, and this one's actually a dream. On top of which the colors are just divine. That's pretty true to color right there. Look at those colors. Feels like nighttime in a marsh to me. Like, I adore it. We're out back of my grandparents' house, sitting in the on the cove with the fog rolling in, and you know, all that stuff. But so I made myself one in an adult small, because apparently that's actually my size. My head isn't as big as I used to think it was, and I'm pretty sure I had just measured it wrong originally, because our heads don't shrink. And I'm in love with this. I wear this all the time. I have a stack of knitted hats that I cycle through, and I've probably worn this like a dozen times at this point already. And I actually really love the way that the colors pooled on this one completely. I wasn't really expecting that, and I'm quite taken with it. I love it. I love it. This is one of my favorite hats. That one, I have two Barleys that I made for myself. That one and the one that's entirely out of this yarn. And at this point, those are two of my favorite hats now. And I wear them all the time. Almost every day. But I do, like I said, I do try to cycle through the hats that I have so that, you know, they're all getting worn and I'm not ignoring any of them. Because if I find myself not wearing a hat or wearing anything for a really long time, because I'm just like, no. For like, I give myself maybe a year, depending on, you know, the situation. Sometimes just a season. If I don't wear it at all and I'm just like, I'm really just not gonna wear this, I just give it away. That's those. I have two other projects that I finished. They're kind of big ones, especially the big one. So this one I started, and this was a specific request. I've shown this already. I put my notebook down. I finished my downstairs housemate's dresser runner. And I wasn't sure originally what I was going to do about that bottom line of the lilac color. And I ended up just flipping the whole thing around because this is all Catherine wheels, which is a 2-row repeat, and flipping the whole thing over and turning that bottom one into, instead of half a wheel, turning them into the completed wheels. So this is 18 inches deep, 18 inches tall. Woo! And it's super long. It is over 65 inches. This is a 300 and oh my gosh, how many nope. I actually have it written down. It was like 307 stitch cast on, something like that. Something absolutely ridiculous to make sure that it was at least 65 inches. But I write all of this stuff down in my notebook to keep track, so I know. Oh, I know it's in here, except I think it's farther this way. Oh, here we go. Ba-bum, bum, bum. I did. I chained 307. I did measure it when I was done. Oh no, I did measure it when I was done. And for some reason I forgot to write down exactly how long it is. I know it's more than 65 inches because it needed to be at least 65 inches. So that's the darted as the bottom. Now we've got six of each color in this Karen Pound of Love, I believe it was, lilac. This Red Heart Super Saver, it's one of the off-whites, it's like a very creamy color. And this donated navy blue yarn that is an acrylic and it is a worsted weight, but I have no idea. Ooh, look at that wind and rain. I have no idea. Oh, look at that tree go. What it is, because there were no ball bands or information when it was donated as to what yarn it was. But this is a finished object. Look how long it is. Ready, ready, ready? We're still going. We're still going. There's more than this. What? I'm actually really proud of this. This is not my first Catherine wheel runner. I did one from one of my older sisters years and years ago when I first learned how to do Catherine wheels, and we're talking like 2012 or 2013. So we hadn't been in the house in Oneida for very long, and I made that for her for one of her birthdays in like a really pretty, very close to this navy blue, but I was all in Care and Simply Soft. It was like the navy blue and that shell pink. So there's my downstairs housemate's dresser runner, and I will, now that I've shown you all, I'll be able to gift this to him. Aww. I'm very proud of myself for that one. I do love the Catherine wheel, although with something that long, I really could only do one stripe in a sitting, and one sitting of it in a day, because it was actually rather hard on my wrist. Because it's so bloody long, and that's okay. I enjoyed it a great deal. I love a Catherine wheel. There's something very rhythmic about a Catherine wheel. Delightfully rhythmic. Last time I was showing you something that I was, at the time, pretty sure that I was gonna put in my shop. Couldn't really have anybody to gift it to, and then my next door neighbor informed me that his favorite color is actually purple, and he has no decorations in his room, and he's bored out of his mind. And I said, well, part of the reason that you're not feeling like you're very much at home is that you really haven't put up any decorations in order to make it cozy, make it your home. He said, well, I don't have any. Where am I supposed to get them? So I kind of been starting to help him with that. I've got some of those hanging stuffs that I've got off of my cane, and that I hang off of my fan light. And I brought the purple one, brought a bunch of purple ones over there and hung them off of his fan light. And I showed him this 10-stitch twist by Frankie Brown that I was working on, and he loved it so much that I decided this is gonna be a tabletopper for him. For his corner table in his bedroom. So I measured his, oh there it is, I measured his corner table and made sure I made it big enough. So and then I finished it off and did the taper, and the last time that I showed you I was here, okay? And I did, kind of hard to show you because I was right here. So I'll put a stitch marker in there to show you. And then I finished off this bit and started, I got to the end of the, I got to the end of the round, and I started the taper and just finished it off. So now we've got this. I haven't blocked it. I don't have any blocking boards right now, so I was kind of just gonna wash it and give it to him. Which I'm pretty sure he's fine with, because he's already said whenever you can do it, he's fine. But it's got all these purples, all bunch of different purples that I did with like some mix of scrap yarns that are sort of a DK, mostly like a light DK weight. And some heavy sport weight. There's, I think, 2 in here that are a heavy sport weight. The one that I didn't end up getting to, I think, was almost fully DK weight. A lot thicker, and I guess it would have skewed it a little bit more out of shape, and so I'm kind of rather grateful that I didn't end up getting to it. So these are all so close in weight that it ended up being. It came out rather nice, I suppose. I'm not really much for purples, to be honest with you, but my neighbor loves purple. It's his favorite color, and when he said his favorite shade of purple is like the inside of an oyster shell. The purple's on the inside of an oyster shell, but with that pearlescent luster, that nacre luster. I was like, there's purples in here just like that. So immediately it clicked, and I know what I'm doing with this. Brought it out to knit on, and he started, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I was like, yeah, I had a feeling. So this is gonna go on his corner table. I'm very, very pleased that I found somebody that I can give it to. I think that's it for finished objects. That is it for finished objects. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whips. Whoopsh, to show off. So, drink some coffee and show off some whips. Whoopsh. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you is that Piggy room rug. Friends of mine have guinea pigs, and the guinea pigs have an entire bedroom to themselves in their apartment, and they requested a rug using the 10 stitch twist pattern by Frankie Brown, which you can find for free on Ravelry, and is my absolute favorite mindless knitting pattern, and my favorite blanket pattern to knit. Now it's a crochet. I have 2 favorite blanket patterns, one in knit and one in crochet. The knitted one is the 10 stitch twist, which is phenomenal for round rugs as well. And my favorite crochet blanket pattern is the Wool Eater by Sarah London. Well, it really does live up to its name. It eats up a lot of wool. Like salt, treble crochets and chains, and it's like Catherine wheels, but in a square formation, and then you do back post treble crochet for the first repeat of the round, and it's lovely because it turns the circle bit into a square. Oh, it's delightful. But I've been working on this, and the last time I showed you, I think I got a couple of repeats done. Where'd it go? I haven't been able to get very many done because this one is with 9mm needles, which is a US 13, and this is super duper bulky yarn, which hurts my hands. It really hurts my hands to work with, so I can really only get about 3 pattern repeats done at a time before my hands start to ache and seize up. So I have this much. I added this in. I think I was right here when I showed you guys last. I think that's why that one's there. And honestly, I should have double checked before I started recording because I honestly can't remember. It's been almost 2 months. But also, I might have only been right here. Because I have this here, which might just be the start of the round. And I have this here, but I thought I put a whole progress keeper in there. Because what I usually do is I have the end of round marker so I know when to start the next pattern repeat, given the way the increases are. And then I keep a progress keeper. Now I've been keeping a progress keeper in from when I record. And then each time I sit down to do it, I also have a progress keeper that keeps track. I start, I move it up to where I am when I get started, and then I go. And then when I'm done working on that for that sitting, I write down what I've done. So I use that to help me keep track of how far I've gotten since I sat down and picked it up. Because that makes sense to me. This thing is huge though. Look at this. This is going to be a great rug. It's almost done. I've got, oh my gosh. It's just taking a long time because like I said, I can only do 3 pattern repeats before my hands like seize up. But I've only got this much left and it eats up a lot. It's big bulky, so. I'm thinking about 3 or 4 more sittings, it looks like, to determine where and to get to the end of the yarn. And I've already decided because I don't really, and I measure the yarn and I don't know how much it's going to do the taper. I'm going to go until I'm out, and then I'm going to, however many rows it's supposed to take to do the taper, I'm going to rip out that many rows, and then I'm going to start the taper and go down. Which is extra work, and I'm okay with that. Because it's the only way I'm not going to run out of yarn before the end of the taper. And I think I sat down to work on this about 2 or 3 times since the last time I recorded. So I'm almost done with that. So the piggies are almost have a rug. That is the piggy room rug. That has been living. What on earth? Oh yeah, I was teaching my oldest child's bestie how to crochet. I forgot that I put that in there. Okay, they were over one day and he was like, I really want to learn how to crochet because I want to make that leaf vine pattern you do. I want to make a leaf vine from my room. I was like, bet your butt I can teach you to crochet. So anyways, that was delightful. That's been living in my peacock tail bag, the first one I ever did, by Lily Bjorn. Lilla Bjorn crochet. Pretty sure you can find the pattern on Ravelry. It's free. It's a really good pattern. Started as a crochet along. A mystery crochet. Was it a mystery? No, it was just a crochet along. Goodness gracious. My tum's full. I had minestrone soup for lunch. I don't know why that makes me burp a lot, but it does. It's yummy. Very wet and windy outside here today. It's supposed to rain all day today and all day tomorrow, which is mildly disappointing because tomorrow's Samhain, Halloween, whatever you call it. So I don't really know how many trick-or-treaters there'll be out. But that'll make it very difficult to go to the graveyard at late at night, closer to midnight, and do my usual. Because then it's dark and it's cold, and then I'm gonna get all wet. Which means I'll probably get sick, so I might have to bypass the cemetery this Samhain and just do my rituals at home. That's doable though. What do you guys do for Samhain? What kind of traditions do you have? Do you go trick-or-treating or take your kids trick-or-treating? Do you dress up? Do you do any kind of rituals? Or offerings? In what ways do you recognize and celebrate the change of the year from the light days to the dark days and celebrate the harvest? Comment below, I'd love to hear it. Five more whips. Whoosh. So, speaking of Finn, my oldest child, I got some more work done on their blanket. And I added another mitered square to Finn's big ass squishy blanket. And they confirmed with me that they want it to basically be king size, like fit a king size bed. So the last time I showed you the blanket, there were 15 squares. Yeah. Oh. And I'm doing a mitered square blanket, scrappy mitered squares with Maguire Simply Soft, and I might have to turn the light on here in a minute, because it's getting real dark, and there's more rain coming in. There's a mitered blanket, scrappy mitered squares with Maguire Simply Soft scraps and size 9 knitting needles, US 9. Excuse me, which is 8.5. 5.5 millimeters. And I put on square 16, so now it's 4x4. We got the ice blue with the minty green, like a seafoam green. So this is how big this blanket is. It's so far. I'm very excited. Whee! And one of my favorite things about this is it's really interactive. Okay, so they've given me the idea of what they want. We made it, it's coming along just as well as they want, but because it's scrappy, they actually really like this too, because whenever they're over, when I'm making it, and it's time to switch to the next color, hold the bag out and they get to reach in there, looking or not, up to them, and pick out the next color. So they have a whole lot of input into this blanket. It's fun. But yeah, like these mitered squares are garter stitch. And it's a 30 30 stitch, not 30 stitch, 60 stitch cast on, 30 on each side of the marker, so they're 30 rows tall, 30 ridges tall. Plus it's fun, who doesn't love a scrappy knit? Alright, I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't like scrappy knitting. I adore scrappy knitting, I love it. The bits and pieces of different yarns, it's like memories. Because every time I'm working with a scrap, I'm also remembering everything else I've made with that yarn. Plus I'm making something fun. Lots of colors, color explosion. That goes in here. Look at this one. My ex found this for me. And he was like, oh, this bag is so you. I had to get it for you. It's like, oh my god, yeah. That's fun. Sorry, I was taking my notebook. I made show notes to keep myself on track. So the next thing I'm gonna show you is Pat's 10 stitch twist blanket. This scrappy, another 10 stitch twist. Surprise, surprise. But there's a story. If you haven't been here before and you don't know me, there's a story behind this blanket. And that is that Pat's mother, a friend of mine, Pat's mother, Pat is a friend of mine, and his mother donated to me all of her yarn. It was all acrylic, but it was all of her yarn, and the granny squares that she had started, and then promptly passed away. She had been diagnosed with cancer and she couldn't work with the yarn anymore. And then, yeah, I say promptly, it was fairly quickly. Fairly soon after she donated all this yarn to me, she passed away. Well, I was going through the yarn and there were, as I said, there were granny squares, and Omi despises granny squares, but there were like something like, there were either 87 or 97. I counted them. I just don't remember which one it was. It was either 87 or 97 granny squares in various stages of completion. I won't touch granny squares. I won't piece them together. I won't make them. I've made like 3 my entire life. Granny squares are so not my thing. I hate them as much as I hate seed stitch and must stitch, and just no. So what I decided to do was to turn all the granny squares into a blanket for Pat. Because I won't put granny squares together or finish the granny squares. I'm taking the granny squares apart and I'm turning them into a scrappy 10 stitch twist. So all of the effort and the intention that she had put into her granny squares, it's not just going to disappear just because she's no longer there. It's not going to disappear just because I'm undoing the granny squares. She put all that intention into the yarn. As she worked it, it's still there. So what I'm going to do, or what I am doing, is I'm undoing the actual squares, winding them up, and adding my own work and intention into the yarn as I work it. And when it is finished, he's going to have, and he doesn't know about this yet, he's going to have a surprise forever hug from the both of us with all the intention and the love that has been fed. It's like double. It's gonna be double. Because that's how intention works. So, am I showing you the right side? Yes, I am. I've actually got a lot done on this one. So this is where the blanket is at. Ooh, there's a whole bunch of colors in here, and there are more colors that haven't even been introduced yet, because there is literally, I've got this, I've got two more, I think 50-gram cakes, plus, and that's just here, and then all the rest of the squares. I think I've only caked up about half the squares. So, this is the 10-stitch twist by Frankie Brown, free on Ravelry. I'm on round 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm on round 4. I have done. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I was here last time I showed it. I had either just switched over to the purple or was about to. I've got my progress keeper in here. And I've gone all the way around here, all the way to here. That's pretty awesome. I'm getting close to the beginning of the round so I can start round 5. So yeah, I did a lot more. I did well over half a round. And of course, you know, it's a circular blanket. As the rounds, each round you go around, the rounds get longer and longer and longer to do. I love it. I love the way these colors are playing out, because look at how some of the whites, they look like radials. How they line up a little bit in some spots, and it's fun. And most of these are Red Heart Super Saver. I can tell by the way they feel. And some of them I can tell by the way they feel are not Red Heart. But I don't know what they are. Some of them, I'm pretty sure this one is actually a Mainstays, because I'm pretty sure that's the color I've seen. The Mainstays yarn, it's like the Walmart brand of the things. And the Mainstays yarn has some great colors that are like very, very similar to some of the Red Heart colors, but just a little bit off. And some of them have really stuck out in my head because I've really loved. I've worked with them and I've really loved them. Honestly, I actually prefer working with some of the Mainstays yarn too, some of the Red Heart yarn. The Red Heart yarn, depending on the dye they're using, changes the feel of the yarn. It's all acrylic, but depending on the dye they're using, the yarn is either stretchier or softer or, you know, plumper or whatever. Those Mainstay yarns are all really plump and springy and elastic, and they're just delicious. Oh, I did forget to mention that these are on a size US 8, which is a 5mm. I'm using my boy needles right now, because I've only got two sets of 8s. I've got my little 16-inch circulars, and then I've got these 29-inch boys, and I use both sets of 8s for the hats. because I actually use these to close off the top of the hats. I use magic loop, that's the word. Use magic loop to close off the tops of hats. I won't touch double pointed needles. I've done double pointed when I first started learning to knit and around, and I actually still have the first shrug I ever made, and one of the first things I ever made in the round that I ever knitted in the round, and I did it, the sleeves, cuffs and sleeves were on a side to side shrug, and the cuffs and sleeves were on double pointed, and I learned very quickly just how much I despise double pointed needles. But I recently relearned how to do magic loop, and it's just so much faster for closing off the tops of hats. I don't do it for the toes of socks. I just do a 2 needle method because I have my 9-inch circulars and a size 16-inch circular for the size 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and so that's easy enough for me to do the toe of the socks with the two needle method. So yeah, so this is still going. This will go until it is done and I have used up all the yarn, and then he will have a surprise forever hug from myself and the mother that he misses. He does miss his mommy, and I don't blame him. They were very close. So that's one of the reasons, they were very close, and that's one of the reasons that, and she was such a sweetheart, that I wanted to do this for him. It felt right. The universe told me that that's what to do, and I trust the universe. Alright, I've got 2 more projects to show you. 2 more whips. Whoopsh. I might have to turn the light on, but I don't want to because big light. I'm gonna show you 2 hats. This bag, I don't know where that other bag came from. That I picked up along the way somewhere. This bag my ex found me. I take the hats and use it out sometimes and use this out and about because obviously. And it's great. I actually use this a lot when I have kidney stones because you can just, so it goes over one shoulder onto the other, but you can switch which side it's on. So it's actually phenomenal because then it takes all of the pressure off of whichever kidney is trying to pass stones. I actually just use this a whole lot because I had those 4 stones that I passed. So I've got 2 hats going on right now that I'll show you. This one is a Barley, where I am gonna have to turn the light on. Hold on, guys. Let's see if the little light is enough. Woohoo! Huzzah! Okay. So I'm working on another donation Barley with the colors that, this is with the Red Heart Super Saver, with the colors that I used to make my youngest son's Regina hat by Karina Spencer, in this really soft blue with this is the color right here, right there in the shadow, this really nice coral. And I'm making another Barley. I'm using my size 8s, 6s, and 8s, which is 4mm and 5mm. And it is another, this should 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 30. Okay, yeah, this is an adult medium. Again, because like I said before, so far all the donation barleys I've been working on are adult mediums. And yeah, I knit inside out. Especially in the round. I knit, I crochet, I do all that stuff inside out with the cord facing me, and the you know, the weight of it gets to sit here much more evenly distributed. But also if it's facing me, I can see what I'm doing without it pulling down on my wrists, which really hurts. So anyways, this one's lovely. This could be another Barley. I don't know what color I'm going with next. We'll find out when it's time to switch colors. I have a whole bucket of donation worsted. The other hat that I'm currently working on is a crocheted hat. It is a specific request. My Across the Hall neighbor has requested a hat and slipper set in blue and gold. So I am working on, but he wants his hat to be a beanie, a fitted cap, which is a completely different pattern for me. I have not mastered knitting beanies. Every time I try to knit a beanie, it's still ending up as a slouch hat. So I'm still learning that, but I do have a tried and true crochet beanie pattern that I have been doing for years, and that's that window pane beanie that I make. And it's a crochet beanie. I'm using this, I think this is a Red Heart Super Saver, and this is a little darker than that's showing up. More like this part in the shadow. Yeah, it's very, very dark blue. That light is turning it a little brighter than it actually is. Using H8 crochet hook, which is a 5mm. And this utilizes double crochets and back post and front post crochets to create like a window pane pattern, like raised ridges, both horizontal and vertical, so that they're squares. They're like window panes. And I'm going to do the brim and the cuffs of the slippers. The body of the slippers and hat will be in this blue, and the brim and the cuffs will be in the gold. But that also means that I need to finish my own dresser runner in my giraffe with my giraffe colors in order to be able to tuck into that gold and bring that over to this project. But if I can pick up that other thing and finish it, and I can get these minus the brim and the cuffs done whenever. But if I can get that done, then I can bring that gold over and hopefully have it done for him by Christmas time. But that actually leads me right into some of my upcoming projects. I have a few special requests in the queue. The next door neighbor that I made the next door neighbor that I'm giving this to as a table topper has requested a Regina hat. in purples if possible, and I do have that lovely lilac that I use for the runner. I have tons of it left over. I probably got 3 or 4 whole skeins of it left. So, and then I gotta have him over at some point to measure his noggin and pick out which yarns he wants, because I'm not lugging those bucket downstairs. So that's not happening. So then once we figure that out, once that's determined, I will get started on a Regina hat for him by Karina Spencer. And for those of you who don't know, let me grab my own Regina hat. That is, I actually have 2 that I wear, mostly this one. But that is this slouchy hat with the like very 1918 looking, with like the frog foot detail on it, that I made for my youngest, with that blue and that coral. I made a matching one of these with these same exact colors for somebody who's actually now a co-worker. I've made some for my daughters. Yeah. Why is it a lovely hat? This one's made inside out. You do the band first, and then you pick up from the band, and then you knit it inside out. So you've got all these pearls with these raised ridges, knit stitch ridges. Delightful. First hat I ever actually knitted instead of crocheted, and that's what convinced me not only that I can knit hats, but that I would actually enjoy it, and how quickly they work up, and that it's, oh yeah, knit a hat. Knit a hat. So I can crochet a hat like that. Goes super fast. I can actually crochet. If I sit down for an hour and a half, I can have a hat done. Crochet. But that's that. First project, one of the I have 3. Yeah, I do. I have 3 projects in the queue. My neighbor's Regina hat. Technically I've actually got those slippers I was just talking about in the queue. They're the Starlight slippers. Oh no, I didn't write it down by who they're by. I'll try to put it in the show notes down below. And at the very least, I'll have it written down by the time I come back on and do my next episode. Because hopefully I'll have them at least started, if not up to the cuff or finished by the time. Also, I've got to measure his feet or find out what size shoes he wears. We might wear the same size shoe. If I remember correctly, he's a 10.5 men's, which I am. Am I? I might be 10 men's. I need to measure his feet. So I've got the slippers, the Regina hat coming up, and then a friend of mine sent me her sweater to repair. This is a knitted sweater. I'm grateful that it's not going to take very much to repair. And I have the right color yarn, and I know what I need to do. I really just need to sit down and do it. I honestly had hoped to have it done over this last weekend and give it back to them on Monday, but that didn't happen. I've also been battling a fever for a week and a half now, so I really haven't done very much of anything this last week, other than fever's put me in a fog. So I spent the last week just dissociating in the bed, watching reels, playing a sorting game, because I'm also sick and I love to sort. Those are all the projects that I have to show you right now. This is definitely going to be a much shorter episode than last time, and much shorter by about half than my usual lives. So if you stuck around this far, thank you. I've loved showing off my things that I've been working on. I will give you a quick rundown of what I've been reading and watching, because I actually did finish 4 books. As far as watching goes, I really didn't watch very much because, as I said, I got kicked off the Wi-Fi because some people don't know how to behave. But I'm not gonna go into that. Let other people be assholes. Whatever. And so I did watch a couple of things, but then I got kicked off the Wi-Fi because somebody was throwing a temper tantrum, and haven't watched anything since except on, occasionally watching some reels once I got Wi-Fi reinstated. I watched Needles at the Ready, of course. I am anybody who knows me knows I am obsessed. They are my ultra fave podcast. They are my ultra fave knitters. I've even met them. And I even have some of their yarn. I forgot to show you one thing. Speaking of Needles at the Ready and their yarn, I missed one of my whips. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Okay, this is my hedgehog bag. I got this for $1 on Wish, when Wish was a thing, and they were doing like free. They had a whole thing for a while where you get stuff free with like $1 or $2 or $3 shipping. I paid $1 for this, and I have had this for 8 years now. I think, something like that. It's delightful. I have 2. I have a hedgehog one, and I have one that's like whales or something like that. And I kind of switch back and forth, but this is a great sock bag for my sock knitting. And my socks go everywhere with me. It's tiny knitting. It's easy to pick up. It's a great vanilla. Now that I'm learning the pattern and how to do it without having to reference the pattern, except occasionally, this is my perfect, this is my favorite out and about knitting. So I told you that, in fact, you know what, I can reference last time's show notes. The whips sock, that was the Achilles sock. Okay, so this is the Athena. So this is another vanilla sock using PurlTogether's How to Knit a Sock tutorial, which I absolutely love, on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, and it's actually in the playlist. It's got its own playlist, and it's a step-by-step how to knit a sock. So it's a pretty basic vanilla sock, and I'm absolutely quite taken with how it feels on my foot. So I am using my 9-inch circular. I think they're highest. I'd rather not eat the sock. I'd rather wear the sock instead of eating the sock. The fibers appear to think otherwise. The yarn fiber in my mouth. So this is on Needles at the Ready yarn in their Athena sock base. It's delightful. The color of this is called Golden Obsidian. And look at how it's working up. One of the things I absolutely find fascinating about color stories in yarn is how differently the colors display themselves depending upon what kind of stitches you're using. and how using different kinds of stitches together like you would in something like this, you can see all the differences, and each section highlights a different type of color, what the colors do differently. So I'm going to show you in this golden obsidian. Here's the cuff. I cast on 68 stitches. I'm using a 1x1 half twisted rib because I love a 1x1 half twisted rib, where you're, like I said earlier in the episode, where you're twisting the knit stitches. You're knitting through the back of the back leg of the stitch, but you're purling the purl stitches as usual. And I did 5 rows of that, and then I did 5 rows of stockinette for the leg because I love an ankle sock. And then I went right into this slip stitch heel flap and gusset. Look at the differences, and you can see it right here. Look at this versus this versus this. The way the colors play is so much fun, and the way that changes throughout each different type of stitches is actually just fascinating and so much fun. This heel turn gusset, I continued the slip stitch pattern into the heel turn, and then I switched over once that was done. I switched over to plain stockinette all the way around for the decreases. I'm still on the decreases. I actually just had to back up yesterday while I was at Hartford Hospital waiting for my procedure, and I just had to back up because I messed up on the decreases. As usual. But it's fine. I fixed it. And we're going forward. Excuse me. This is sock. This is gonna be a really fun sock. These colors are delicious. I think Martin would approve. This is really very much a grello. I know this obsidian is very, 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 this looks black, and it's actually just like obsidian. It's like a charcoal, deep, deep, deep gray. But it's ranging anywhere from this dark, dark, deep gray down to really soft, pale slate gray, and this yellow, which is going from some spots look goldenrod, and some spots are just this deep ochre. Oh my gosh, it's this deep. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. I can't wait till it's done. I've got to wait till it's done. I'm enjoying knitting it up a great deal. I'm looking forward to when it's done. Then I have a 4th color that I'm going to pull out and start, that I also got from Driftwood Yarns when I went out to the Needles at the Ready Trunk show in June. I already had one sock yarn, and I picked up 2 of theirs and then one of another one that was out there, and I'm on sock number 3, and I'm really excited. Look at this. Look at this yarn. A little bit of a mess right now, but look at it. It's gorgeous. It's squishy. It's so delicious. So smooth running through the fingers, and I love it so much. I love this needles. I love this base, these bases that Needles at the Ready uses. But the thing I really love the most about their yarn so far is the colors. Kevin has such an eye for color, and the way the colors play together is delicious. One of my dreams One of my dream projects is actually, and I can't afford this yet. I haven't had dollars since July, but eventually, after I get back to work and can actually afford it, I pay back what I owe for the Wi-Fi bill. One of my knitting dreams is to make a batade by Stephen West using needles at the ready yarn, and I want the stockinette sections, the flat in between sections, to be the mossy cobblestones. And there's this real, I don't remember off the top of my head the name of the color, but it's this deep, deep green, like a deep forest green. Really deep, like almost black looking. It's such a deep green. And I want that to be for the rolled pieces. The batade is like a poncho-like thing with like a flat sections and then roll sections, and so I just, there's something about, I really feel like those two colors together would just they're scrumptious. And I have seen mossy cobblestones in person in the skein, but also I've seen pictures of it knitted up, and I'm just, give me mossy cobblestones. That's a dream of mine, along with knitting the doodler. I don't know if I'll ever get to that. Anyways. So I got completely sidetracked. I was trying to tell you what I've been watching, but now that I have reminded myself to show you my sock, I've watched Needles at the Ready. I'm not caught up in their most recent episodes because I actually only just got Wi-Fi back on Sunday. So I've got to catch up on everybody's stuff, but I had up until the Wi-Fi, till I got kicked off the Wi-Fi. Not the Wi-Fi I'm on now, but the other Wi-Fi I was on. I was watching Needles at the Ready. I was watching Martin at Knit 365. Oh, Martin. And I was watching Michael, our Piece for Piece Crafting. That's Piece, the number 4, Peace, Piece for Piece Crafting. I'm really looking forward to catching up with those, them all, but also, like, I know that the guys from Needle at the Ready, and I know that Michael from Piece for Piece went to Rhinebeck. Someday I'll be able to go to Rhinebeck, I hope. And so I'd really love to see their Rhinebeck recaps, and I'm looking forward to those. I got to see pictures on the Instagram, so I'm really looking forward to their recaps and their updates. And the other thing that I was working my way through was Star Trek, the original series, because I'm a nerd, but I'm also autistic, and I cannot bring myself to watch a series out of order, or a series of series out of order, which is also why I have not been able to watch all of my absolute favorite sci-fi series, which is Stargate, because I haven't finished. I gotta go through it in order, and I keep getting interrupted. I haven't watched all of it. Same with Star Trek. I haven't watched anything beyond the original series because I haven't finished the original series. I was very close. I was this close when I left New York 6 years ago. I had the whole box set, all the first, 10 years, whatever the original series lasted. I was like, probably half a season away from finishing it. But I also cannot just pick up where I left off. One, because I have no clue where I left off. Two, because there are going to be pieces I don't remember. And therefore, three, because my tisms won't let me. I have to start back from the beginning. I can't tell you how many times I watched the pilot episode of the original series. We're at least half a dozen. Same thing with Stargate. And that's alright. It is what it is. So I could probably quote the pilot episode of Star Trek the original series along with it. Tisms are fun. And that's what I was watching, and then I read 4 books. I finished all 4 books. I'm not currently reading a book because I just finished the 4th book day before yesterday. My most recent book I finished the day before yesterday, so I haven't picked another one up yet. But I started Loamhedge when I was last. No, okay, so last time I was here, I was trying to read State of Fear by Michael Crichton. I picked it up 2 more times in an attempt to continue reading it, and I just couldn't. I was so deeply uninterested, which is odd because it's a Michael Crichton book, but whatever. I was just so deeply uninterested. So I said, whatever, we're not reading that. So I went digging into my tote bucket of books, and pulled out a Brian Jacques book, and I read Loamhedge, which was really good. It was good. There was a character in there, one of the hares, one of the sort of main characters. Honestly, I couldn't stand him. He was absolutely insufferable. I actually wanted to slap him a couple times, or pick him up by the ears and shake him and be like, would you, for the love of all that is unholy, shut the fuck up before you get everyone killed. And then just like give him a couple smacks. He was insufferable. That's alright. It was otherwise a really good book, because Brian Jacques. And my absolute favorite thing about the Brian Jacques books is his descriptions of the food. Oh, to be a resident of Redwall Abbey and eating with them, or even just a guest, just to be a tiny little creature living in the woods and eating all those foods and living in that kind of a community would just be delightful. Yeah. And then I read The Long Patrol, which is another Brian Jacques book. That one's slightly more military. They're all, they're fantasy novels. They just have, animal characters. So being fantasy novels, they have fighting, they have whatever, because they have the bad guys, the vermin that are whatever, doing nasty things, and they're trying to protect their way of life against them, or somebody's trying to protect against the vermin. Especially when you've got the badgers involved. The Long Patrol was really good. I really enjoyed Tamo, which is one of the main hair characters in the first one you're introduced to. I really, really enjoyed his story arc. Not least of which is because, so a lot of times a very young main character will be going off to follow this whatever destiny he's pursuing or being thrust into. And there's just so much complaining in the training. And it's very counterintuitive in my brain, to my brain, for this. Now I understand there has to be character development, they have to grow, they have to... But one of the things I absolutely adore seeing is when this character who wants this destiny for themselves, or wants this, you know, to follow this life passion and usually to become some kind of a warrior, goes off to do so, sets out to do so, gets either picked up or joins up with, you know, whoever is going to be training them to get to the point they want to get to. And instead of being impatient and complaining about all the stuff that they have to do and trying to rush it, they just very cheerily accept the journey part of their journey to their destination. And they're willing to learn these things and go through the motions of learning how to master these things. I just, something about that I adore. And that is what Brian Jacques had this one character doing. And he's so young. Literally too young to join the Long Patrol. And yet his mother sends him out to do it anyways because she recognizes this beast within him, whatever. And she sends him off with a friend of hers to join the Long Patrol. And he just takes it all in stride. This is a passion he wants for his life. And he just dives right in and is just soaking up the knowledge and soaking up the training really respectfully and delightedly without complaining about what it's going to take to get to where he wants to, how and what he wants to end up with. And that was delicious for me. I read a third book that was called Hiddensee by Gregory Maguire. Sorry, Blinky's outside the window. Okay. Gregory Maguire is the author of Wicked and The Ugly Stepsister and those books. A lot of people know Gregory Maguire. This one was called Hiddensee, The Story of the Once and Future Nutcracker. And it is about... So most of us know the ballet, The Nutcracker, and how Godfather Drosselmeyer it's all, you know, about this Christmas Eve party where Clara gets this nutcracker from Godfather Drosselmeyer. Well, this story is about Godfather Drosselmeyer from literally a very, very young age up until really up until his death. But it is the story of Godfather Drosselmeyer and how the Nutcracker came to be. And it is really good. So far, it's one of my favorites of his books. It was brilliantly done. It was brilliantly and magically done. I absolutely adored it. And I 1,000,000,000% recommend that you go read it if you haven't done so. One of the things I loved so much about it is, while there was some humor in it, it wasn't really as humorously witty, like a lot of jokes, a lot of like, it's not the same kind of humor as like Wicked and things like that. It is also, it's written, it's a lot more nebulous. It's a lot more, what's the word I was about to use? Well, it is. It's very nebulous. The descriptions are of concepts. It's not specifically concrete, even though this character, and he reads very autistic to me, and maybe that's just me, but there's a word I was about to use and it really just escaped me just as I was about to use it. Oh, that's frustrating. Oh, that's so frustrating. In any case, abstract. A lot of the concepts are about the feeling of the concept, or explaining something in a much more abstract, less than concrete, more nebulous, more about what it hints at and the emotions and the types of things that you can connect it to. But it's not dry, and it's not confusing either. It's really, really good. Please read it. Please read it. It's called Hiddensee. Hiddensee. Which is actually a name of a place. It takes place in Bavaria, starts in 1808. It's just... read it. Another book that I read, and now I just finished the day before yesterday, that I 1,000 million kajillion bazillion percent, all the percents, infinity percent, suggest you read. And I really want to go back and read the first novel in the series, because this is a series and I picked up the second novel. I just happen to have it. It's a sci-fi novel by a woman called Becky Chambers, and it's called Record of a Spaceborn Few. And now I really want to go back and read. The first book is called A Long Way to a Small Dark Planet. You guys, this book was amazing. There are descriptions of the way that these people live in this fleet. This, they're in space. It's been like 9 generations since since humans on Earth finished destroying our planet, and really just irreparably, and recognized that we could not fix it. We fucked up too bad, way too much to repair it. And over a couple of generations, like, melted down all our stuff and turned it into these space stations where we could go off seeking new places to live and hopefully contact with other species if there was contact to be had, and other life forms to contact, and set forth into the stars in this fleet of starships. And the way that they set their... And then this book in particular picks up a couple of generations after that, like 9 generations after they set forth. And a few generations, maybe 2 or 3, after contact was made. And some people left the fleet, they started establishing themselves. They had joined the GC, the Galactic Commons. They were part of, they'd been allowed in and all this stuff. And the way that she describes how people on the fleet live as a community is almost exactly in line with how I believe that we should be living in community. A lot of the things that she describes are just so in line with my visions for an ideal way of living in our environment and with each other, even though we're currently living on Earth, and that's a completely different environment. And what an ideal way to move forward from destroying this planet, and look how short-sighted we've been, and turn it into, well, what should we have done? But she also describes other species coming in and trying to, get a feel of, why do you guys still live this way? How does this work? we're curious because we live a completely different way, and then there are people who are wanting to leave the fleet, and you know, there is so much in there that I absolutely adored. I couldn't put it down. I read it in like 3 days. I just could. It might have been 4. I could not put it down. I just kept picking it up. I'd finish it as I go out, and I'm eating and I'm reading, and I come back in to forget whatever else I have to do. I want to read a couple more chapters, it was delightful. So now I want to go back and read the first one. And I'm pretty sure there's another one after it that I want to read. There's also another series that I'm really, really, really looking forward to reading. The author is currently working on the second book in what is meant to be a trilogy, from what I understand. But there is a book. It recently, really recently came out. It just got published. They did audiobook 2 and everything. I've been watching the skits that this author does of the characters from these books and some of the stuff about it, and I'm so invested. She does such a good job in bringing the characters to life, and they're funny, and they're really, really, really quite delightful. Quite lovable, quite delightful, and she's got a lot of ideas that I really, really agree with. So I eventually, at some point, if I ever get enough dollars, or if somebody wants to gift it to me for Christmas, really want to read a book called For Whom the Bell Tolls, by J.C. Lynn. Oh, if you guys can get a chance to read it, I recommend you do so. And if you get to read it before I do, tell me what you think about it. I'm really excited for the fact that she's writing a second one in the series. And so she's been doing a whole bunch of skits about these characters. And the book really is a precursor to the skits. And then there's another book coming out, and she's doing the book series, but then there's also, I've been seeing them on the Facebook reels, and I think she also does it over on TikTok or wherever, but these skits that she's doing are a whole series with like a spin-off series, I guess, with these characters. And then I want to read it so badly. That one's a fantasy novel. And we know I love a good fantasy novel. So, not the usual setting from what I usually read, but that's okay, because it's so engrossing, and I'm so invested in these characters. And all I've got to go on at this point is I've heard an excerpt from the beginning of the book, the very first couple lines of the actual written book, and I've been watching the skits. I'm so invested. I want it. But I have been babbling on at you for very close to 2 hours, and it is time for me to let you go. So I really, really appreciate you guys taking any of the time you've taken to watch this, letting me show off the things that I've done, and I hope to be able to get back to you guys soon, hopefully next month, hopefully November, barring any unforeseen circumstances, and hopefully I have more to show you than I did this time, whenever I do make it back. So thank you for joining me. Be gay, do crime, spread love, and boinks! Shabye!